Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to make these crazy decapitating broadheads fly well out of a bow for turkey hunting. Alright, so step number one in order to get these big decapitating broadheads flying right is you have to shoot low poundage. A lot of you guys probably shoot 70 pounds, so crank your bow down to under 65. You know, I had to swap my limbs out because I shoot 80 pounds and I got my bow set up right around 62 pounds. 55 to 60 we have found to work the best. I cranked mine down to about 62. So that's step number one, shoot low poundage. So step number two is shoot an ultra stiff arrow. I like an ultra stiff and light arrow, and the Bloodline by Easton works really well. It's 240 spine, and it kind of bleeds right into step number three, which is shooting a shaft full length. We have found that to work the best, so no reason to cut the shaft. Just make sure it's super stiff and long. Step number four is vane configuration, and you know what, we found that 4 fletched feathers work the fastest and the best. However, the only issue is when you're walking out during turkey season, the ground's always wet, and we find that when the feathers get wet, they do not steer this broadhead very well. So what we wanted to do was test a bunch of different vane configurations to find the best vane combination that works just as well as the feathers. And what we have found is the AAE Max Stealth vane fletched as a 6 fletch works extremely well. You could also 6 fletch a blazer vane, 6 fletch anything that has a decent high profile, but you don't want to go too high because then you're going to get contact on your rest. That's kind of why we went with the lower profile, longer vane configuration by AAE in the 6 fletch, and this thing balances this arrow super well. So before you fletch your arrows, it's very, very important. I know this was technically step 4, but really step 3.9 is going to be tuning your arrow before you find your vanes, or fletch your vanes, I'm sorry. So the reason that this is step number 4 is because you have to have what vanes you're going to be using before you do this next step of tuning. So once you figure out what vanes you're going to use, the next step, which is either 4.1 or 3.9, doesn't matter. The next step is to tune your bow to this arrow combination. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So step number 5 is going to be tuning your bow with the exact arrow setup that you're going to be shooting. So again, since I'm going to be doing the 6 fletch by AAE, I'm going to weigh this arrow with 170 grain point because I'm going to be shooting the xecutioner broadheads. And this weighs 170 grains. I'm going to weigh this whole arrow. And it is, go ahead and get it tight on this, 560 grains.
Move your hand.
Sorry, the arrow's trying to blow off.
Okay, got it.
Alright, so anyway, it's 560 grains. So how you're going to tune your arrow to this, you don't need to paper tune. This is going to be a way more advanced tuning system that I think is going to work a lot better for, honestly, all of your hunting arrows, especially this one. So next up, after you weigh your arrow with the vanes on it, you're going to take electrical tape and wrap it around the back of your arrow in the same spot as your vanes would be, and you're going to wrap the same weight in electrical tape as your vanes weigh. So basically what you do is you put your arrow on here and you keep wrapping electrical tape around that spot until it weighs the exact same as your other arrow, which is 560 grains. So both these arrows weigh the exact same. So now I'm going to shoot this arrow at 10 yards, and now when it comes out of the bow, if my rest is not tuned right, that arrow is going to fly at that target. Here, come over here, babe. Actually, let's just go down to the target. That'll be easier. Okay, so when you shoot this at 10 yards, there's not going to be any correction from the vanes. So when this arrow makes an error, it is going to come out of the bow and just keep going that direction. So it'll hit the target and look like that. So then you know you're shooting knock right, so you need to adjust your rest to the left and to bring that arrow straight. So then you shoot at 10 yards until that arrow is straight like this. Again, if it comes in shooting super high, then you raise your rest up in order to bring that knock down perfect. So you shoot basically at 10 yards until you get this arrow flying perfect straight out of the bow with no vanes. And then you back up to 20 yards and do the same thing again, and then you go all the way to 30 yards. And again, when you get to 20 and 30 yards, the smallest change in your arrow rest is going to make the biggest difference. So once you get that arrow flying perfect out of your bow with no vanes on it, you're ready to slap on the vanes and then shoot those big broadheads. And that leads us to step number 6. So next up is going to be shooting the broadhead and testing it out. Now, again, you're going to want to make sure you do all these other steps first, because a lot of these broadhead companies don't send you very many. If you don't do those steps, these broadheads are not going to fly very well. So when you're shooting your broadhead, things you want to look for is clearance with your sight. That's another reason why you want to leave it full length, is because you want to get it out away from your hand as much as possible. And unfortunately, with where we run our sights and how long my draw length is, my broadhead still comes back. So I want to pay attention to that whenever I'm shooting, to make sure I don't have any blades pointing straight up. So see how that one's pointing straight up? So I want to make sure that that is off to the side like that, so I have clearance. So a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what the heck do you shoot these broadheads into? And the answer is a pillow. And you can pick up a pillow for like $5 at Walmart. So I'm going to draw myself a nice turkey head on here. Oh yeah. Let's give it an eye. Give it a big, needs a waddle thing. Alright, so that is our bullseye. We got ourselves a turkey head. And again, for $5, this is going to be worth it, guys, I promise.
Are those his legs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that bad?
It's a very odd shaped turkey.
Okay, it sucks.
Okay.
Alright, let's go shoot this bad boy. Now, again, I have tape holding the bottom of it down, just because it's kind of windy, which would also be a good test for this broadhead. See how well it does in the wind. Let's grab the bow.
That would help.
Let's shoot this bad boy. Boy, he's dancing down there, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're about 35 yards from that turkey down there. Let's let her rip. Right in the eye. There you have it, guys. That is how you get one of those turkey heads to fly like a dart. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning into our channel. And if you like this video, make sure you smash that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. It really means a lot to us.